UCLA coming over into the Big Ten. They're not exactly winning the offseason either, Trey. I mean, you look at what they lost this season, and really, really tough to think about playing football over in Uncle Juice territory.
Yeah, you lose your future QB and Dante Moore to Oregon.
He would have been your starter this year.
You poured a lot into him this year. You sacrificed wins this year, in my opinion, to get him reps so that he could be your quarterback of the future. And then he jets off to Oregon. Not to mention a ton of your defensive production. They had a really, really solid defense out there this year. It kept them in bowl contention. It kept them in games when their offense was sputtering really backwards for what we've seen from UCLA in the past. But then you lose your head coach. And Garrett and I spent a lot of time talking about Chip Kelly leaving UCLA to go to Ohio State. That's just a bad look, man. Like vibes aside and context aside, because I know that Chip Kelly was on the hot seat. I know that he was not long for Westwood, but it's just a bad look to see your sitting head coach go leave and be an offensive coordinator, take a demotion on paper to a fellow conference mate, a new conference rival as you're coming into that conference. That's just a really tough look, and it's hard to bounce back from. It's going to be hard for them to recruit against, because that's a really easy bullet that anybody on the West Coast can say, look, you want to go to UCLA instead of USC, Oregon, Washington? You want to go to the place that lost their head coach to be an offensive coordinator in this conference? Like, just such an easy recruiting pitch against UCLA.
And not just a recruiting pitch for those West Coast kids, but this is Big Ten country now, baby. Come on, this is a big pitch for those kids in Ohio that want to go play in Los Angeles. That's also now the footprint of their conference, which is stupid, but whatever. But again, this is another one of those teams where, Trey, you're right. Like there's so much going wrong. It's a terrible look. And going back to what we just said about Purdue, this is about to be a team that gets grinded up. Like, this is about to be the team that if you can't figure out how to win, you're going to get grinded up underneath Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State and Washington and Oregon and anybody else who might be moving in the right direction, right? There's teams that'll go in the right direction. And if you're kind of in that middle group, you're about to get ground up as a bunch of bye weeks and a bunch of easy games and tune-ups and everything else. And like UCLA's in that spot right now. And it sucks because they really should be a better program. They have the ability to be, but they just aren't. And, the kind of what we broke down, if you want to go look at that previous video, feel free. But kind of what we broke down is they got to get real creative about how to get people to support this program and really start to pony up, because if they don't, this team's going to go by the wayside quick.
There's a real chance. That UCLA might have missed their window of opportunity to build up some real momentum. And heck, I mean, not having a franchise level quarterback, for lack of a better term, heading into this new situation, might be a tough year one for the Bruins in this system.
Gracious him! How about that?